Welcome back, Warhammer 40K fans. In our previous video, we explored the first 20 games on our list of the top 40 best Warhammer 40K video games. Now, it's time to dive into part 2 and discover the remaining 20 titles that have earned a place on my list. From epic battles in space to strategic skirmishes on the battlefield, these games are sure to provide hours of immersive gameplay and intense action. So, grab your bolter and join us as we continue our countdown of the top 40 best Warhammer 40K video games.
#20th place, Regicide.
Imagine if the classic game of chess was reimagined in the Warhammer 40K universe with intense battles and futuristic weaponry at every turn. That's exactly what you'll get with Regicide, a game that offers two different modes of play. The first is the classic mode, where you can play using the traditional rules of chess. However, if you're looking for something more exciting, the Regicide mode adds an initiative phase after every turn where pawns are equipped with bolt guns and queens can launch psychic lightning. Each attack during this phase chips away at the hit points of your target, creating an intense battle that feels like cheating in the best way possible. Even taking a piece the usual way is a Gorian stackle, complete with duels reminiscent of battle chess. While there is a story mode in Regicide, some of the puzzle matches can become annoying stalemates that slow down the action. However, if you stick to skirmish play, Regicide does an excellent job with its ridiculous concept. The game starts off feeling like traditional chess, but as you begin to focus fire and combine the right abilities, you'll soon find yourself removing bishops and other pieces from across the board. In the end, Regicide feels like you've outsmarted the centuries-old game of chess itself and provides an immersive and thrilling experience for fans of the Warhammer 40K universe.
19th place, Eternal Crusade.
Initially, Eternal Crusade was promoted as a massively multiplayer online game, resembling the popular PlanetSide franchise with a persistent universe for players to compete over. However, during the development process, the game underwent significant scaling down. The final product turned out to be a lobby shooter, adopting the thrilling multiplayer combat style of Relic Space Marine, while introducing new features such as vehicles, Eldar and Orcs factions, and an engaging cooperative player versus environment mode. The PvE mode features 4 players joining forces to battle against Tyranids, offering players an entirely different gameplay experience. Early adopters of Eternal Crusade were disappointed with the game's reduction in scale, but there's a silver lining. Relic Space Marine had a fantastic multiplayer mode, and Eternal Crusade built upon that by introducing thrilling missions. These missions would often require players to defend fortresses while simultaneously attacking other players trying to breach the fortress gate and Predator tanks. Alternatively, players would hover over victory points as an Eldar swooping hawk, adding to the adrenaline rush of each battle. Despite the game being re-released for free, very few players gave it a chance, leading to its near-empty servers. It's unfortunate since Eternal Crusade is a lot better than its reputation suggests, and it deserves a second chance. Hopefully, its loyal fans will find a way to revive the game, as it undoubtedly has a lot to offer.
18th place, Deathwatch Enhanced Edition.
The Deathwatch are the elite of the elite when it comes to alien extermination, and they boast a unique and intriguing recruitment system. Drawing from other Space Marine chapters, Deathwatch warriors are handpicked for their exceptional skills and unbreakable determination to eradicate the galaxy's most insidious extraterrestrial threats. In this turn-based tactics game, you'll have the rare opportunity to take the helm of a squad of these elite soldiers, comprised of warriors from various chapters such as the Space Wolves, Blood Angels, and Ultramarines. Originally developed for tablets, Deathwatch features a unique loot box system that provides players with exciting new wargear and Marines in random packs. However, unlike many modern games, these items are earned solely through gameplay rather than through microtransactions. This enhanced edition for PC has been lovingly remastered, offering improved graphics and a more user-friendly mouse and keyboard UI. Yet, despite these upgrades, players may find themselves wishing for more intuitive tooltips for the numerous buff icons each Marine possesses. In terms of gameplay, Deathwatch offers a budget-friendly version of the beloved Firaxis-style XCOM games with the added bonus of Space Marines. While it may not offer the same depth and complexity as some of its AAA counterparts, it is nonetheless an enjoyable and engaging gaming experience that will appeal to both Warhammer 40K fans and turn-based strategy enthusiasts alike.
17th place, Necromunda, Underhive Wars.
Hive cities, teeming with an immeasurable amount of people, serve as a concrete embodiment of a societal class structure, with the addition of winged skulls adding an extra layer of macabre. The lower levels of these massive constructs play host to gangs that work for mid-level houses and are in constant conflict with each other, battling over scavenger rights and striving to outdo each other with the trendiest mohawks. Enter Underhive Wars, a turn-based tactics game that eschews the formulaic approach of other games in the genre and instead opts to carve its own path. The game's maps are adorned with ziplines and elevators, providing players with plenty of opportunities to utilize the environment to their advantage. In an over-the-shoulder third-person view, the eye's actions can sometimes leave players scratching their heads. Gang members might run past enemies that they could easily attack, or inexplicably use buffs without any apparent reason. Sometimes, they may even just stand in place, idly jogging on the spot. Despite these quirks, Underhive Wars has a lot to offer players who are willing to give it a chance. While the game's story campaign may not be the strongest aspect of the experience, the procedurally generated operations mode offers an endless array of exciting challenges. Although all gangs have access to the same classes, gear, and only slightly different skills, as players progress through the game and engage in the endless territorial warfare, their chosen gang members become imbued with personality and begin to feel like one's own. The game's customization options are excellent, allowing players to create characters that look truly unique and unforgettable. As these characters sustain injuries and receive bionic implants or limb replacements, they become even more individualized and develop their own stories, making for an immersive and captivating experience.
16th place, the Horus Heresy, Battle of Tallarn.
Tank Battle is Hex Wargames' take on the classic Panzer General series, featuring various iterations such as Tank Battle 1944 and Tank Battle 1945. However, Battle of Tallarn takes a unique approach by reskinning the World War II game and immersing players into the largest tank confrontation of the Horus Heresy era, making it essentially Tank Battle 30,000. This game is a highly strategic wargame that operates on a rock-paper-scissors system, requiring players to utilize tanks, infantry, flyers, walkers, and titans as counters to each other in specific situations. The terrain is also a key factor, with certain areas being damaging, hard stopping, crossable only by flyers, or providing cover for infantry. Just like all the other Horus Heresy games and books, Battle of Tallarn demands a dedication to the fictional history of Warhammer 40,000 that is as passionate as any World War II enthusiast to fully enjoy the experience. However, for those who are already familiar with the Warhammer 40,000 universe, you are probably already humming the bombastic techno-goth themed tune and eagerly anticipating the challenge that awaits you in Battle of Tallarn.
15th place, Armageddon.
Armageddon is a thrilling and immersive turn-based hex grid wargame that offers a fresh take on the popular Panzer General formula. Set on a hive world that has been ravaged by pollution and destruction, the game plunges players into a gritty and dangerous conflict between the armies of the Imperium and a relentless horde of orcs. Each scenario in Armageddon presents a unique and engaging puzzle for players to solve. Will you choose to split your battle groups and launch a multi-pronged attack, or unite your forces into a single, impenetrable wedge? Should you lock down key bridges and choke points, or take advantage of the cover offered by the bombed-out buildings that litter the battlefield? The decisions you make will have a profound impact on the outcome of each battle. Armageddon also features a range of DLC that expands the game's universe and introduces new conflicts to the fray. However, it's worth noting that the standalone expansion Orcs may not be for everyone. While it promises to let players experience the conflict from the Orcs' perspective, it ultimately falls short by offering a balanced force that feels too similar to the human armies. Nonetheless, Armageddon remains a must-play for Warhammer 40K fans and strategy enthusiasts alike.
14th place, Battlefleet Gothic, Armada.
One of the most iconic and recognizable elements of Warhammer 40,000 are the Imperial spacecraft. These imposing vessels are often compared to a Gothic rendition of Westminster Abbey, painted in a menacing black and equipped with a striking prow that makes them look like they are slicing through the void of space. Battlefleet Gothic Armada is a real-time strategy game that takes full advantage of these awe-inspiring war machines, allowing players to command entire fleets of these stately, miles-long vessels in epic space battles. The gameplay of Battlefleet Gothic, Armada is unique in that it emulates both a tabletop game and the vast, empty ocean of space. The ships move about on a 2D plane, performing complex maneuvers and engaging in battles like it's the Age of Sail, complete with broadsides and boarding actions. However, the troops don't swing over on ropes with knives between their teeth. They insert via torpedo, adding a futuristic twist to the classic naval warfare tactics. Despite the advanced technology and futuristic setting, Battlefleet Gothic, Armada also manages to capture the slow-paced and deliberate gameplay of the Age of Sail. Getting into position at the start of an engagement can take a considerable amount of time, and once the fleets make contact, the micromanagement required to control multiple ships can feel overwhelming, even when slowed down. This deliberate pacing is designed to tempt players into making mistakes and causing costly collisions that can result in the loss of a capital ship with the population of an entire city inside. Are you ready to take command of the Imperial fleet and lead them to victory in the far reaches of space?
I think you got them all.
13th place, Chaos Gate, Daemonhunters.
Comparing Chaos Gate to XCOM from 1994 with Space Marines, Chaos Gate, Daemonhunters is a more recent title from 2016 that is reminiscent of XCOM 2. The similarities are not subtle, with the game featuring a tech priest who builds things and an inquisitor who conducts research as time passes on the map. Missions become available, and players select the one with a desirable reward, often in the form of servitors, which are prone to disappearing. The ship then travels to the selected mission location, where gameplay mechanics such as Overwatch, half cover and full cover, and enemy clusters that activate all at once are present. Players will also encounter a monthly visitor who provides unsolicited feedback on their performance. Where Chaos Gate, Daemonhunters sets itself apart is in the use of Grey Knights, a group of elite soldiers with immense psychic powers and superior equipment. They possess unique abilities that enhance their attacks, bolster their armor, grant additional action points to other members of their squad, and even allow them to teleport. Moreover, they are never at risk of missing their targets, which is a significant departure from other games in the genre. However, the game does not abandon the use of chance altogether, as it employs hidden dice rolls for critical hits, triggering conditions, and reward requisitions. As players progress, they may encounter fewer opportunities to add Paladin-class Grey Knights to their squad, but will receive an abundance of apothecaries. Daemonhunters demands bold and decisive playstyles from its players, a trait it shares with Gears Tactics. Overwatch is rendered ineffective against even the weakest foes, and incinerators are only worthwhile if players luck out and obtain a high-quality one through requisition rewards. The game rewards players for swift, efficient execution of enemies with the opportunity to chain together bonus action points by executing stunned foes. However, the rapid movement, teleportation, and blade combat contrast with the length of missions, which tend to drag on and become monotonous. While not a game of XCOM 2's caliber, Chaos Gate, Daemonhunters is a solid addition to the genre.
12th place, Necromunda, Hired Gun.
Hired Gun is an exhilarating single-player first-person shooter that seamlessly blends looter-shooter and movement-shooter elements. As you navigate through its expansive environments, you'll be constantly upgrading your arsenal of weapons, swapping out your trusty bolter for a rare las rifle, and modifying your augmentics to give you an edge in combat. Even your furry companion has its own upgrade tree, making it an indispensable asset on the battlefield. Despite the game's occasional shortcomings, such as mediocre animations and a lackluster story that requires you to have prior knowledge of the Cal Jericho comics, Hired Gun still manages to be an absolute blast to play. The combat is fast-paced and frenetic, with a plethora of abilities at your disposal that make you feel like you're playing every class in Borderlands simultaneously. Each level is masterfully crafted to fully immerse you in the gritty, dystopian world of Warhammer 40K. Whether you're fighting your way through a corpse-grinding factory or racing across a maglev megatrain, every inch of the game is meticulously designed to transport you into its richly detailed universe. Hired Gun also boasts an impressive cast of villains, including one that resembles a post-apocalyptic Marie Antoinette, which only adds to the game's already impressive sense of style and atmosphere. As you progress through the game, you'll have the opportunity to increase your reputation with various factions, including Genestealers and Chaos Cults, by completing side missions of varying difficulty levels. Some of these missions require you to expertly maneuver your way through hordes of enemies, while others allow you to focus on zipping around and completing objectives. All in all, if you're a Warhammer 40K fan looking for a thrilling, action-packed adventure, Hired Gun is definitely worth checking out. Its unique blend of looter-shooter and movement-shooter elements, combined with its immersive setting and dynamic gameplay, make for an unforgettable gaming experience.
11th place, Rites of War.
While there may be other Warhammer 40K games that resemble the Panzer General series, Rites of War takes it to the next level by utilizing the actual engine from Panzer General 2. The result is a game that offers the tactical depth that strategy game enthusiasts crave. The game features a vast array of pixelated units, each with unique abilities, ensuring that every turn is a complex puzzle requiring you to think critically about your moves. You'll find yourself considering factors such as which units can provide support, and which can make pop-up attacks, and even which units can attack and retreat in the same turn. The campaign in Rites of War allows you to play as the Eldar, an enigmatic and colorful race of murder elves with powerful psychic abilities. Their weapon of choice is a deadly monofilament wire that can reduce their enemies' internal organs to mush. But that's not all. The Eldar can also summon their war god, who manifests inside a superheated iron shell and charges into battle alongside them. To top it off, they wear flashy harlequin pants that are both stylish and practical. It's a shame that more Warhammer 40K games aren't centered around the Eldar, given their fascinating lore and unique abilities. Instead, we tend to see the same 4 chapters of Space Marines over and over again. Rites of War breaks the mold by offering a fresh perspective on the Warhammer 40K universe, and it's a must-play for fans of the series who crave something new and exciting.
10th place, Battlesector.
When I initially critiqued Sanctus Reach, I opined that there are other video games that surpass it in terms of quality. However, the release of Battlesector has effectively become a prime example of a title that executes the same kind of mid-sized turn-based tactics game but with greater success. What sets Battlesector apart is the game's ability to infuse personality into each unit under your command. The game accomplishes this feat through a unique momentum system that rewards players for adhering to each unit's characteristics. For instance, Blood Angels, known for their ruthless tactics, earn points for slaying enemies in close quarters. The Swarm-like Tyranids benefit from staying in proximity to their hive leader, while the Sisters of Battle, who enjoy pain as much as they inflict it, receive points for both dealing and taking damage. Additionally, downloadable content has introduced the Necron faction and expanded the playable Sisters of Battle from a small group of allies to a complete army. A free update also added a Horde mode that challenges players to battle demons. My only reservation is the absence of a veterancy system for regular squads, as it only applies to HQ units. Nonetheless, Battlesector has earned its status as a standout title in this genre.
9th place, Space Hulk.
Space Hulk, the first attempt to translate the popular board game into a video game, has rightfully earned its place among the best. Its innovative freeze-time mechanic allows players to shift into turn-based mode, enabling them to move their 5 Space Marine Terminators around as if they were on an actual tabletop. However, a timer adds a unique twist to the gameplay. When the timer runs out, players must switch to real-time mode, frantically bouncing between first-person perspective and the map to fend off waves of Genestealers pouring out of the walls. Surviving this nightmare earns players more freeze time, and the sensation of switching back to turn-based mode is nothing short of exhilarating. Aside from its innovative gameplay mechanics, Space Hulk also excels in its atmospheric design. The sound of spinning wall fans and alien noises reverberate through the corridors, heightening the sense of dread and foreboding. The constant distant screams further add to the sense of unease, making the player constantly feel like they're one misstep away from a gruesome demise. The game's depiction of death is just as unsettling, with each Marine's screen slowly dissolving into static as they meet their end. While countless video games have drawn inspiration from Aliens, Space Hulk's ability to replicate the feeling of utter panic and desperation is unmatched. It's important to note that Space Hulk isn't just a strategy game, it's a horror game. As a result, it's unapologetically difficult, but the challenge only serves to further intensify the game's horror elements. Few games are able to achieve the same level of sheer terror as Space Hulk, and it remains a testament to the power of Warhammer 40K's universe to evoke a wide range of emotions in players.
8th place, Battlefleet Gothic, Armada 2.
In the vast and sprawling universe of Warhammer 40K, interstellar travel is made possible by navigating the treacherous terrain of the warp space, a parallel dimension adjacent to real space. Though it offers a shortcut through the stars, warp space is fraught with peril, for it is home to the ruinous powers of chaos, malevolent entities that embody the darkest impulses of sentient beings. Their insatiable hunger for destruction and chaos threatens to spill over into real space, corrupting everything they touch. At the fringes of the galaxy lies the Eye of Terror, a nightmarish vortex where the boundaries between warp space and real space blur, and the powers of chaos reign supreme. Yet, amidst the chaos and destruction, there are pockets of resistance, bastions of hope that stand firm against the relentless onslaught of the forces of chaos. One such bastion is the Imperial world of Cadia, a strategic stronghold that has repelled countless incursions from the forces of chaos. However, the 13th Black Crusade, led by the infamous Abaddon the Despoiler, proved to be Cadia's downfall. In a stunning display of raw power and destruction, Abaddon crashed a gargantuan alien star fortress into Cadia, shattering its defenses and unleashing a catastrophic chain of events that threatened to engulf the entire galaxy in flames. This epic moment is the opening scene of Battlefleet Gothic, Armada 2's prologue, a space fleet real-time strategy game that immerses players in the thrilling battles and desperate struggles of the Warhammer 40K universe. Building on the success of its predecessor, Battlefleet Gothic, Armada 2 introduces new campaigns from the perspective of the insectile Tyranids and the Egyptian robot Necrons, while maintaining the core gameplay of 2D sailing ship combat. Yet, the game's greatest strength lies in its ability to capture the grandeur and spectacle of the Warhammer 40K universe, delivering an unforgettable gaming experience that will leave you breathless.
Underway!
7th place, Darktide.
The Vermintide series has long been known for its exceptional first-person melee combat, a skill that many games struggle to execute effectively. However, Darktide takes this gameplay to the next level by incorporating top-tier shooting mechanics. With Ripper guns that tear through enemies, bolters that pack a mighty punch, and the Cantrail MG-12 infantry lasgun, a weapon that finally puts to rest any doubts about the effectiveness of las rifles, the combat in Darktide is simply unparalleled. What's more, the game setting is so quintessentially Warhammer 40K that it oozes with atmosphere. The hive city in which the game is set manages to be both claustrophobic and impossibly vast, while the Ogrins are lovable brutes who will fight tooth and nail to protect their comrades. The music is a foreboding chugulug that adds to the sense of unease, and even the drink bottles in the game have purity seals, a nod to the meticulous inspection processes carried out by the Adeptus Sanitatis. It's a truly immersive experience that Warhammer 40K fans will relish. While Darktide's immersive prologue sets the scene perfectly, introducing players to a world where they are a lowly lost catcher in the Inquisition, the story quickly fades into the background. Instead, the game focuses on completing mission after mission, with cutscenes showing members of the inquisitorial crew telling you that you're not yet good enough to be trusted. However, this lack of narrative depth is somewhat mitigated by the sheer enjoyment of playing through the missions themselves. Darktide is an absolute blast to play, and while it may be held back by its status as a live service game, fans of the series are sure to have a great time with this latest offering.
6th place, Dawn of War 2.
While the first Dawn of War game emphasized large armies and massive battles, Dawn of War 2 takes a different approach. Instead of commanding an army, players control just a handful of elite soldiers and their squad mates. The game puts a strong focus on using special abilities and strategic positioning to outmaneuver and outgun the enemy. In Dawn of War 2, you won't spend hours researching new technologies and building up your base. Instead, most missions begin with you and your squad falling from the sky and immediately engaging the enemy. You'll need to use cover effectively, position your units strategically, and make careful use of your squad's unique abilities to survive. Boss fights can be challenging, but the game really shines in its defense-oriented maps. Whether you're fighting off waves of Tyranids or other enemies, these maps require careful planning and coordination to survive. The Last Stand mode, which pits 3 players against increasingly difficult waves of enemies, is particularly thrilling. In fact, some fans argue that the Last Stand mode was more innovative and enjoyable than the massively popular Defense of the Ancients game, which spawned the MOBA genre. While MOBAS have their own strengths, the Last Stand's cooperative gameplay and unlockable warrior make it a standout mode that Warhammer 40K fans still love to play today. It's time to unveil the cream of the crop, the top 5 Warhammer 40K games that have earned a special place in our hearts. These are the games that have stood the test of time, that have kept us coming back for more, and that we simply cannot get enough of. So, without further ado, let's count down to the very best that the Warhammer 40K universe has to offer.
5th place, Final Liberation, Epic 40,000.
The sheer magnitude of conflict in Final Liberation is truly awe-inspiring. This strategic masterpiece perfectly captures the essence of Warhammer 40K's epic battles, pitting a combined force of Imperial Guard and Ultramarines against a massive horde of rampaging orcs. But that's not all. To stand a chance of repelling the invasion, players must also unearth a lost legion of Titans to aid them in their fight. The orcs are a formidable enemy, with their brute strength and lightning-fast movements making them a formidable foe in close combat. However, players have a powerful artillery at their disposal, and as the Tyrant of Bada once said, "Big guns never tire." Every turn requires a careful approach, as players must carefully advance their forces while keeping the speed freaks at bay and obliterating buildings with thud guns to prevent orcs from sneaking up on them. One of the defining features of Final Liberation is its heavy metal soundtrack, which perfectly complements the high-octane action taking place on the screen. The game's FMV cutscenes are also a product of their time, dripping with cheesy 90s goodness that is sure to make players smile. Despite its over-the-top nature, Final Liberation is a game that takes itself seriously, capturing the essence of Warhammer 40K in all its ridiculous, epic glory. It is no wonder that this game remains a fan favorite even to this day, cementing its place as one of the best Warhammer 40K video games of all time.
4th place, Space Hulk Tactics.
Space Hulk Tactics is a hidden gem that often goes unnoticed due to being released after a series of mediocre games that carried the Space Hulk name. However, Tactics is not only the best game in the series, but also an outstanding adaptation of the popular board game. It perfectly captures the essence of what makes the board game so enjoyable, the thrill of 5 bulky walking tanks facing an endless swarm of nimble melee monsters, and the exhilaration of playing as either faction. This game has an extensive Genestealer campaign, allowing players to experience the excitement of playing as the enemy aliens, which is a blast. Space Hulk Tactics does not overlook the Marine side of the equation either. The AI that controls the Genestealers acts like a tabletop player, patiently lurking around corners until enough monsters have gathered to charge a Marine in a mass attack, knowing that the bolter's ammo will eventually run out. Moreover, Space Hulk Tactics introduces several new rules to the board game that fit seamlessly with the base rules, such as single-use bonus cards and an intricate maze-like map of the Hulk to explore. These new rules feel like they could have come straight from one of Games Workshop's expansions to the original game. While Space Hulk Tactics allows players to experience the game from a first-person perspective for a classic Space Hulk feel, it's the isometric view that finally delivers the XCOM, but with Space Marines game that fans have been waiting for. Overall, Space Hulk Tactics is an incredibly underrated game that deserves much more recognition and appreciation than it receives.
3rd place, Space Marine.
During the dark heyday of the third-person cover shooter, Space Marine was a revelation. Why would an armored superhuman need to crouch behind a waist-high wall? Space Marine isn't having a bar of that. You regain health by killing bad guys up close, charging forward with your chainsword, or slamming down out of the sky thanks to the best jetpack ever. Each fight reminds you this is what you're genetically engineered to do, and early on there's a quiet moment where you enter an Imperial Guard base and wounded soldiers several feet shorter than you look up in awe. It nails the fantasy of being a Space Marine, specifically of being Captain Titus of the Ultramarines. The Ultramarines are the chapter of choice for 40K video games because they stick to the book. They aren't like the Space Wolves with their fangs and Viking shtick, or the Blood Angels and their periodic descent into the Black Rage. You don't have to explain anything extra to an audience who don't know the setting with the Ultramarines, because they're boring. Space Marine lets them be boring so Titus has something to rebel against. His brothers follow tactics from ancient tomes. Titus jumps out of a spaceship to fight orcs across the deck of a flying pirate ship, and that's the tutorial.
2nd place, Mechanicus.
Mechanicus is a turn-based squad tactics game that revolutionizes the genre, just as Space Marine did for third-person shooters. In this game, you take control of a band of Adeptus Mechanicus tech priests who do not need cover to survive. Instead, they have disposable cannon fodder, servitors, and Skidori soldiers to absorb the Necron lasers while they stay safe and analyze the environment. The Necron enemies are predictable, attacking only the closest target, which should be your replaceable cyber zombies rather than your tech priests, who have already leveled up. Meanwhile, your AdMech scientists see every situation as a learning opportunity, and even as their subordinates are being slaughtered, they are busy examining the architecture and sending servo skulls to inspect alien glyphs. All of this provides you with cognition points, which can be spent on extra movement or special abilities. Defeating a Necron grants you more cognition points, and if you reach the corpse within a turn, you earn a bonus. The AdMech are so obsessed with science that they come across as creepy, and the Heresy expansion even turns their twisted mirror images into villain factions. Strategically spend your cognition points to snowball your advantage, earning more each turn. Your robed worshippers of the machine god zoom around the Necron tomb with a force axe in one hand and a data tablet in the other, using 6 more Dr. Octopus Cyberlins just for fun. The AdMech, typically relegated to supporting roles in other Warhammer games, are finally the stars of their own show in Mechanicus. The mechanics, music, and mechanical garble that serves as their voices all work together to perfectly accentuate their oddity.
First place, Dawn of War.
The release of Dawn of War 2 marked a departure from base building gameplay, leaving its predecessor as the go-to choice for fans of the classic RTS style. However, what set Dawn of War apart was not its base building mechanics, but rather the way in which they were downplayed. This game eschews traditional resource gathering methods like gold, spice, or Vespene gas. Instead, players must acquire resources through combat, as nodes are spread throughout the map waiting to be claimed. The pace of the game is also notably accelerated, with ready-made squads that can be easily expanded and reinforced using teleporters. The result is a frenetic, action-packed experience that builds to a climactic crescendo. As players progress, they amass an army that includes everything from individual soldiers to massive robotic dreadnoughts, culminating in an explosive display of lasers and explosions. The sheer scale of the battles is exhilarating, with sync kills that include gruesome displays like impalement or decapitation by demons. What really sets Dawn of War apart, however, is the depth and breadth of its campaign mode. The Dark Crusade expansion features 8 factions competing for territory on persistent maps. Each time you return to a previously claimed territory, you'll find the defenses you built waiting for you, adding an extra layer of strategy to the game. For players who crave even more intensity, the Soulstorm expansion ups the ante by removing the unit cap and allowing for even larger and more spectacular battles. Modders have embraced this expansion, adding even more possibilities to an already rich and immersive game. This is Warhammer 40K at its finest, with world-eating tanks and missile-launching church organs. There is only war, and it's a wild ride that any fan of the genre won't want to miss.
Under fire!
And there you have it. Our list of the top 40 best Warhammer 40K video games has come to an end. We've explored a vast array of games, from classic RTS titles to immersive RPGs, and each one has brought its own unique flavor to the Warhammer 40K universe. Whether you're a fan of massive battles or more strategic gameplay, there's a game on this list that is sure to scratch that itch. But the Warhammer 40K universe is constantly expanding and evolving, and we can't wait to see what new games will be added to this list in the future. So, what did you think of my list? Did your favorite game make the cut, or did I miss something that you think deserves a spot? Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, keep fighting the good fight and defending the Imperium. The galaxy is a dangerous place, and only the strongest and most cunning can survive. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to watch one of these cool videos, and I'll see you in the next one.